Hello and welcome to May We Recommend, a show where we talk about movies, music, and more. I am your host, and I'm joined by Sean. Hey,
Hey,
how are you doing today, Sean?
doing good.
Oh, hey. So we're starting today with Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, a 1987 movie by John Hughes. It had a 12-week run, and it cost $15 million to make, and domestically grossed 49.5. So obviously another hit we're doing.
Yeah,
And
I feel like everyone knows Planes, Trains, and Automobile. I could be wrong.
I think so too. Well, I think it's like one of the only Thanksgiving movies, right? Like that's a plot line.
It must be. I never think of it as a Thanksgiving movie. Actually, when I started watching it again, I thought it was a Christmas movie. So
Yeah, there's a lot of coldness in it, but I mean
yeah,
that has to do with the late season.
it just feels like a holiday movie, which I guess is what
Yeah.
makes it a Thanksgiving movie.
I think what's cool about it is like it is one of those few that are like, I gotta get home for Thanksgiving. Like that's a thing. You know,
Yeah,
home for Christmas, home for the holidays. You're always thinking of the December holidays. You're
right.
not thinking you know, like this weird thing that we do where we get together and eat turkey.
Yeah, it's the best holiday.
Oh, you're a Thanksgiving fan.
Yeah, I just like to eat.
Well, I like to eat too. I think it's a weird holiday.
Yeah.
Like, um, when I was living in Portland, going to college, we would not come home for Thanksgiving. It's just it was a really long trip,
Uh-huh.
and like just like we'll come home for Christmas or whatever, but birthdays, but Thanksgiving we'll just have it down here.
Where were you coming from for the
uh
web listener?
I was coming from Portland
Okay.
going back up to Washington.
Okay. I just thought that
So
might be helpful. Wow. That's
yeah.
cool.
Hey, when you were watching this film, did you think it looked really good for how old it is?
Nothing really stood out. To me, actually, it looks like, 80s. Why did something
Well, I thought
stick out to you?
the well, I don't know if they upscaled it on the version I was looking at,
Mm-hmm.
but I thought it looked very clear. Like, yeah, it's dated. I mean, a lot of people with feathered hair.
Yeah.
Did you? What'd you think of Kevin Bacon's cameo in the beginning?
Yeah, it's great.
I thought I was like, is he going to be in this film? And no, he's just racing for a taxi.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was very strange. Was he? He was big in '87, right?
Uh, yeah. I, ah, I, I, is he one that was ever like really big? I guess he was.
I mean, there's a game of 7 degrees of separation with Kevin Bacon. I mean, he's
Yeah.
got to be pretty big.
You know what I always think about when I think about him is have you ever seen The River Wild?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
For
have, but I don't recall it right now.
for some reason that's the movie I think of. Like it's not Tremors. It's not whatever else he's been in. I can't think of a lot of Kevin Bacon films, honestly.
What, like the
Uh,
Hollow Man?
yeah,
That's
he's
not
not
one of
one
your
that I think about a lot.
you who return to
No,
often.
no, I don't know that I've
Oh,
actually seen it.
The River Wild. That's
Is
right.
it good?
Kevin Bacon. That's a almost a talented Mr. Ripley scenario, right?
Yeah, yeah, he's the killer on the raft.
Yeah.
There's an adjacent family. He kind of weasels his way into their good graces, and you know, I think they're trying to get away with. I think they murdered someone and stole money.
Yeah. It
I
is an
think that's what
interesting
it is.
film. Like I for the sake of the conversation, I Googled Kevin Bacon to see what came up, his top movies.
Yeah.
And Footloose, obviously, one we didn't name. And
Oh
then Hollow
yeah.
Man
I
is
never.
number 2 on that.
Is it
Third, Tremors.
right? Is it none of it's the
There has
River
to be
Wild?
no, yeah. Well, the River Wild is on there. No, it's not. It's not in the top.
Yeah, like
Sleepers,
uh,
Mystic River. It's
um,
okay.
I always. Yeah, he's just not one that I ever think about. I can't tell you the last time I was like, oh, I'm gonna go watch a Kevin Bacon movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Apparently he
no
was in
shade to
Guardians of
him.
the
Like, he's
Galaxy.
great.
Yeah, he's not a box office draw
Was
for
he?
me. Like, oh, hey, Kevin Bacon's in that, I'm gonna
No.
go see that. Stir of Echoes.
Do you think he's a? I remember Stir of Echoes, but do you think
I
he's a
do
draw
too.
for anybody? Is there anybody who's like just waiting for Kevin Bacon movies?
Well, they'll
There's
have
got
to
to
be
be.
waiting for a while because I don't think he's been working. Is I hang on.
Well,
We'll go to IMDb for this. When do you think the last movie he was in came out?
uh, well, you said Guardians, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's got to be like 2015, somewhere in
He's
there.
made a movie this year. He's in two of them,
Really?
and yep. The Toxic Avenger. I didn't even know they
Like
remade
the
that.
remake?
Yeah, apparently
I
he
had
plays
no idea they
Bob
remade it.
Garbinger.
Garbage.
Yeah, no, I don't know. He has had quite a film career.
Yeah. No, like he's a legit film star. I just never think of him.
Yeah, I
And
don't
like you
either.
said, they have an entire game where you connect him to other people, and I never think of him.
Yeah, you know,
Um,
um, so to get off the bacon kick and get back into like Steve
yeah.
Martin, Steve
Sorry.
Martin is a name that I would go see a Steve Martin movie, but I can't think of too many that he was in any time within the past, like, I don't know, 20 years that I would want to see.
Yeah.
But I love
Um,
watching Steve Martin. I think the guy's hilarious.
yeah. I think 80s Steve Martin's kind of, his peak. So like
70s,
Three
80s.
Amigos. Yeah. I just mean as far as
Mm-hmm.
his movies go. I haven't listened to his stand up in years, but
Did you ever
um,
watch Roxanne?
oh yeah. Yeah, that whole bar
Yeah.
scene where he's uh dissing. He's coming up with insults, better
Yeah.
insults
I,
than
I
this.
oh I'm yeah, no, I love his movies. Like I first was probably introduced to Steve Martin through stand up and then probably The Jerk.
Yeah. I think I was introduced to him through Three Amigos. I think that's probably the
Three
first time.
Yeah. And did you ever watch Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid?
No, is that the film noir?
Yeah, it's great.
Is it?
Oh, it's so dumb. It has a place in my heart for sure.
Huh. I'll check it out. Just okay.
I didn't watch Bowfinger.
No, no. So Bowfinger has that reputation, right? Where it's a lot of people say it's the worst movie ever made. Um,
Is that right?
yeah, no, it's got this horrible reputation. In fact, there's a guy I worked with years ago who he had this odd hatred for Bowfinger. No, no, he liked it. That's what it was. He thought it was awesome,
Mm-hmm.
and no one else agreed with him.
Well, I'll tell you this much. On IMDb, it has a 6.5,
Hmm.
where his remake of the Pink Panther has a 5.7.
Well, there you
So
go.
people clearly like it better than his Pink Panther.
Yeah, I mean that just probably means Pink Panthers.
If I were to recommend another Steve Martin movie
Mm.
outside of his classic comedies, I would totally go with Novocaine. I don't even see it on here.
Oh, it's the one where he plays the dentist or orthodontist, right?
Yeah, it's a really interesting movie.
I
Like,
I think I've seen it, but I think it was once, and it was like right after it came out on DVD. So I
mhm.
didn't see it in theaters.
I think it's Hillary Bonham Carter is in it.
Man, I had a huge crush on her
Yeah, I think a lot of people did.
until
Just
she
a
was.
really weird
Yeah,
attraction.
yeah. I got over it once. I realized she's just in every Tim Burton movie, and she started annoying me.
Well, it's not really her fault that she's getting cast a lot as the same character.
Right. And I mean, to be fair, it's just a dude who's really into his wife, right? He's like, hey, put my wife in it. It's like Rob Zombie with Sherry and
No way, really?
yeah,
So I didn't realize that Tim Burton was married to her.
I believe
I didn't know
so.
that.
I believe so. Same with what's his name? the guy who did like he does all the horrible Resident Evil movies, and Mila Jovovich.
Mm-hmm.
That's why she's in all of his movies. Yeah, I'm just married.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah,
I
I
like
like.
that.
Yeah, I think it's really sweet. It just doesn't. A lot of times, I don't think it's not like in the best interest of the movie. But you know, I get it. It's like, oh, this is my
Yeah.
wife. She's awesome. You know.
What do you think of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels?
Oh, I remember really liking it. I haven't seen it in years, but
I
that
remember being let down by it when I was watching it. Like it wasn't really my cup of tea because like it it strayed so far from like some of his other comedies that I was like, I don't get this. This isn't what I expected.
do you remember where they're like out
Was he in that?
they're trying to out yeah. So I
Yeah.
can't remember who played his opposite, but they're like trying to out scam each other. Like
Yeah.
and Steve Martin's playing like I think a paraplegic, maybe a quadriplegic though. And so he has that
I,
line at the dinner table where he's like, "Do you mind if I use the restroom?" And they excuse him, and he just sits for a second. And he goes, "Thank you."
no, I don't remember.
Yeah, no, there's a bunch of funny things like where he can't feel his legs, so the other guy like is caning his legs, knowing he can feel them, and then he's
So
pretending.
Michael Caine is playing opposite him, right?
Is it Michael Caine?
Yeah.
Wow.
Ian McDermott is in that, and he's the Emperor Palpatine.
Wow.
Yeah. Now there's a character you should try to play 7 Degrees with.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it worked out perfect because you have all this Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's
He's
what
also
you were
in
saying.
the British version of Utopia.
I'm not familiar with that.
You're not familiar with Utopia?
No.
I think it might be up your alley. Um, there's hidden messages being passed through a comic book that people don't really believe. It's seen as conspiracy theory.
Mm-hmm.
And well, I don't want to give away too much, but give it a watch. Let me know what you
Never
think.
heard of it.
Utopia, Utopia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Check it out. May I recommend it? So
should probably get back
to drive the Okay, you go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying we should probably get back to planes, trains, and automobiles.
Yeah, absolutely. So I haven't watched the movie since I was like young, really young, and I remember not caring for it very much. I don't know if it just, I mean, it came out in '87. I was 10 years old. Like, it just didn't appeal to me at the time. I know that my buddy Otis really liked it.
Yeah,
but I just was like, it's all right. But I'm watching it this time around. I'm like, this is a pretty good film.
Yeah,
You know,
that's really
I thought
good.
it was a really, really broad comedy, which it has aspects in it, but it's almost like a slice of life, and it's very earnest. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's definitely earnest.
Yeah, and like you know, it plays with a lot of themes that I didn't realize, like that a heavier movie would have tackled, and this movie tackles it and takes it on very well. Like the whole like classism, you know, the fact that you have Steve Martin's character who is stripped of all his wealth throughout the movie. He goes from like having like $700 in his wallet, which I looked up because I was like, how much is that from 1987 to today? That'd be the equivalent to having like over $1,800 in your wallet.
Nice.
Yeah. And so it's, that seemed like a lot of cash to me for now. So like having $700 then, that just, I think shows, it elevates what kind of status he has.
Well, wasn't he working on Wall Street?
He was in advertising.
Oh, advertising.
Yeah, because remember, the film opens up with him needing to catch his flight. Steve Martin needs to catch his flight. And there's a guy just staring at an ad. and he's got like 3 ads in front of him, and he's just humming and humming. And he, the tension's building. He's looking at his watch, and then it does like this film noir kind of highlight. Everything darkens out, highlights the time of the boarding for his plane, and he's lipping to his friend. He's like, "I gotta go,
Right.
I've got to catch a flight." And then the guy finally finishes up. He runs to the elevator. The guy's like telling him, "You're never going to get your flight." Then they have the scene with Kevin Bacon where he chases for a cab, trips over Dell's trunk that he's carrying. We don't know that yet.
Right.
But, he recognizes it later on. He trips over that. Finally gets a cab to where he's going, finds Dell there. They meet. He's like, "You're the guy who stole my cab." Flight gets canceled, right? And then I lost my train of thought.
His flight gets canceled.
Yeah, his flight gets canceled. And so they have to make like alternative plans. And what happens next after that? Do you remember?
Isn't that where they rent the car?
No, I don't think that's where they rent the car. I think no, they take a train, right?
Is it the train first? It's been a little while since I've watched
plane. But yes,
I guess that would make sense in order of the title.
Yeah, did you like that title opening sequence where it cuts through planes, makes a plane sound, trains makes a train sound, and then automobiles?
I mean, it's kind of gimmicky.
I liked it. I thought it was pretty cool. Like, it was just a nice little audioscape coming through. Yeah, it's gimmicky, but it worked for me.
Yeah.
But so it is. It's a train. The train blows up. They have to truck through the field. Then he gets a ride in the back of that truck where he's freezing to death. That does appeal to a broader audience. Obviously, they do some, Frightwig frost makeup going on both him and the dog, which I thought was funny. It made me laugh.
The frozen dog makes me laugh.
So, yeah, but like, I do think that it does work on many levels. And it is like, is it a morality tale, actually?
In what sense?
Like, teaching this guy the value, I guess family and friendship. I don't know.
I think
I guess I don't know what the overall meaning is supposed to be at the end.
Because I feel like he valued his family in the beginning, right?
Yeah, he did.
He just wants to get home to them. But he comes to value John Candy. Like,
I think it teaches him humility and the compassion for strangers.
Right. Yeah, because when John Candy comes out and you find out that he's kind of been lying the whole time about his wife and kids, it's sad. And
he never mentions kids. It's just
does he not?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, his wife. Yeah. And that it like softens because the whole it feels like the odd couple on a road trip. Is what the movie.
It is very much the odd couple on a road trip.
Yeah.
Man, there are some really good scenes in that. Like when they are driving in the car the wrong way, they survive. They see the flashing of him as the devil. They're going to die. They turn into skeletons. And then they survive. They go to collect the luggage and the car sets on fire. That is awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
That whole scene's great. But then when they finally pull up into the parking lot and they get a hotel room and he feels bad and they share it, and then they smash the hotel room on their way out.
Yeah.
And then they speed off and they're going down the road and he's finally transitioned from wearing just his suit the whole time, and you can see that he is going through his metamorphosis, and he's now wearing a puffer jacket and a trapper hat, and they're singing loudly as like they're going down the road, and I think they're doing 79, which doesn't seem that fast, but maybe where they were it is. So
is that where's the point where Steve Martin ends up he starts warming up to him? It's there, right? When they're driving the car. Is that
it's there.
Okay.
Like they it's right before there. So he trades his watch off for the hotel room, and he's like, essentially you're going to sleep out in the car.
Hmm.
And he's in the hotel room. They have two beds finally, and he's alone in there, and he's looking out the window, and he's thinking, and he invites him in, and they have a really good time together.
Right.
They're drinking alcohol, they're eating chips, and they're making jokes, and they bond in that moment.
Hmm.
And then that's the pivot, that's the emotional turn for him, and that's when you see him in a different
Okay.
outfit. That's when you see him going down the road and getting pulled over by the police officer.
Right.
Yeah, which
Yeah, he
eventually
cuts
gets him
loose a little
closer.
bit.
As soon as he cuts loose, he gets closer to his home, which is kind of an interesting pacing too. The more of a stuck-up guy he was, the further from home he was. And so as he
Right.
becomes closer to his family, he gets closer to his humanity as well. That's kind of cool.
Oh, very nice. I like
Yeah, I do like that.
that.
But,
I also love that. Like,
no, go on.
oh no, please
I had nothing.
finish your thought.
No, I had
Oh
nothing.
no, I just like the um I mentioned it to you earlier. The movie could have been a solid PG-13 until that one scene in the airport. And
Oh,
I've been trying to figure out, like, I guess why they put that in there. Like, it's funny. He has a freak out and he screams the F word about, I don't know, 20 times. And part of me thinks that there must have been someone counting. And it's like, this many F bombs and you get an R rating, which I think you're allowed one now. I don't know
yeah.
what it was then. But as funny as I think that scene is, I don't know why it was put in there, because it feels um like a family holiday movie, and that
Hmm.
I mean, I suppose it's still a family holiday movie, right? But
Yeah, but he drops
that
19
kept,
F-bombs in that one scene.
yeah, it's like
Well, I guess
19 F
18 because
bombs
she
in
uses
like
one.
20 seconds,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Um,
Yeah. I don't know. It does seem
and
like a little out of place.
right, because it's not like a gross out comedy, and it's not
Hmm.
like a shock comedy, though I think that is what that scene is meant to do.
It shock you.
It like, as much as I like the scene, it feels weird in the
Hmm.
context of the movie, because to me it feels like it could have even been a PG movie. I
Yeah.
mean,
It, it,
an 80s
it totally
PG.
could have been a PG movie. It is PG up to that point where they just changed the
Right.
audience for no reason. I think you could have hit a broader audience. Although, like I said, I was young and it didn't work on me. It didn't work for me. Like, an adult trying to get home to his family was not a child's movie.
Yeah, I guess
You know,
that's true. There's nothing about
like,
Steve Martin and John Candy that scream
yeah, like,
young
oh man, that is
audience.
so relatable to me as a 10-year-old, you know,
That's fair.
like, yeah. So, like, it is a movie made for adults.
But so why didn't they adult it up prior to that? It's just kind of
Well, they
odd.
did. There's like an extra 3 hours out there.
Is there?
Yeah. So there's like an alternative cut to it, and like,
It's
there's
like
a
a
whole
6 hour
subplot.
cut.
Yeah. Well, no, there's another cut that came out on the last year, was its like 25th anniversary or something. I don't know. Like
Yeah.
23 years, or I'm not doing the math, whatever.
Yeah. It's funny.
But it had in October 2022 they released an extra 75 minutes of deleted and extended footage.
75 minutes.
75 minutes. I'm not watching that.
Yeah.
Like,
This
but
is
I thought that was pretty cool that like there's this whole other movie that they made, because like obviously that's going to change things from it. You know,
yeah.
I know there's a subplot that got cut that was his wife thinking that he's having an affair. So
Oh.
I don't like that. I'm not a big fan of that subplot. But when I watch her scenes, it puts it into a whole other movie for her. When
Sure.
she's acting that scene.
Right.
But when it's the cut, that's never even in there. So like she had a whole other movie, you
Right.
know,
Yeah, that had to be
where,
weird for her.
yeah, she's putting pathos into her scenes. And she gets like 5 minutes of screen time.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is like Once Upon a Time in America. They cut it down because
Mm-hmm.
it's not a short movie
No, no, it's not.
by any
Did you know
means.
that's a trilogy?
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
No, Once Upon a Time in America,
Um,
the Once Upon a Time in Mexico, and then apparently Duck You Sucker is the third in that series.
are we talking about the same
Sergio
movie?
Leone?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he didn't do Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
I thought he did. Let me look that up.
Didn't
Maybe
he?
I'm mistaken.
Wasn't that Robert Rodriguez?
Once Upon a Time
Because Once Upon a Time in Mexico is
in
like
America. Oh, Once Upon a Time in the West. I
okay,
apologize.
yeah.
Once
But
Upon a Time in the West, Once Upon a Time in America,
and Ducky Sucker,
and then I think Duck You Sucker falls in there.
but they're related like through like thematically only, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you've seen Once Upon a Time in America. It
Well,
has nothing to do with the Wild West.
well, right. But I didn't know, like, I can't remember because it's an epic movie. It's actually, I think, one of the better gangster films ever made.
Yeah. You know when Robert De Niro
Like,
wipes the dust off his jacket and it turns from gray to blue?
mm-hmm.
Yeah, that iconic scene. I'm cutting
Yeah,
that.
I just thought like,
But mm,
oh, I just thought like in those two, because these movies are both like insane in length and theme. And I thought like,
mhm.
wow, was I missing like this whole time, like a character whose great grandson or something is, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't know
No, I
if
don't think so.
if that
Like
was the case.
it's Once Upon a Time in the West, Duck You Sucker, and then Once Upon a Time in America.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's a weird one to fall in the middle.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. It doesn't it doesn't feel like a trilogy, but it's cool though. I like
I'm a
Sergio
huge
Leone.
James Coburn fan. I really like that actor.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Yeah, he's in the same face family as like a Lee Marvin.
Yes, very much like a Lee
Yeah.
Marvin in the
Now,
Face
would you
family.
put Lee Van Cleef into that face family? Like
That's
a
actually who I
far?
was thinking of. It was Lee Van Cleef when you said Lee Marvin. I was thinking of Lee Van Cleef was in uh Hingham High, right? And The Good, the
He
Bad,
was
and the
in
Ugly.
Yep, played Angel Eyes in that.
Yeah.
So yeah, if Primus wrote a song about him, it might have just been Les Claypool on his own. I can't remember, but it's called Lee Van Cleef. It's really worth checking out.
Oh, check it out.
Yeah,
I like
but
Promise.
oh, me too. I think they're a great band. I don't know how we're going to get
I would
back to
be
planes, trains, and
curious.
automobiles from this.
I would be curious to see that cut footage. I well, I'd like to see the original like intent, the original vision of the movie, just to see what I wonder if like I bet that because I said I had a problem with the airport scene
Yeah.
because it felt too adult in a film that just it feels like I don't know, it's kind of feels lighthearted. It's except towards the end. But I bet you, with all that extra footage put where it was supposed to be, the movie feels. I bet you that scene feels more in place.
Well,
Um,
yeah. I mean, again, we'd mentioned that, or I'd mentioned that it's not appealing to children. Like his other
right,
movies are totally teen movies,
right.
and this is a huge departure from that. And I bet in that deleted footage, you're going to find a mature movie.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
like from the director of Baby's Day Out, you're going to really expect something. Impressive.
Is it the same director?
John Hughes, I
Isn't it
think that was
John
his
Hughes?
last film. Yeah,
Did
I
he do
think that was
Baby
his last
Stay
film.
Out?
I'm looking
Is
that
that
up
the
right
one with
now.
Gary Oldman?
Because if it's not, I'm cutting this.
Is that the one with Gary Oldman? Baby Stay Out?
Oh man,
Because
I just remember there's a lot of child endangerment in that film.
Gary Oldman, like he's my favorite actor, but
Uh-huh.
he he's got a
He
string
makes
of
bad
just
choices.
fuck whoppers, just bad films that I think started like
No, it's
late '90s.
Joey
He started
Pantaleone.
just
Joey,
picking.
sorry, talked over you.
No, it's fine. I was just trying to figure out because he's in. There's a baby movie with Gary Oldman. I'm pretty sure.
No, this doesn't have Gary Oldman
It's
in
not
it.
the
It,
one
it
where he plays
does
the little person.
no, but it does have Joe Mantegna, Laura Flynn Boyle, and Joe
Yeah,
Pantaleone.
that's that's a John Hughes
Yeah,
movie. Because isn't that
that's a
like a
John Hughes movie.
slapsticky movie? Like,
Oh, it's a very stupid
isn't the
movie.
baby like? Yeah,
Mr. Magooing it through like New York or somewhere, probably Chicago, given
right, right.
it's John Hughes. But
Yeah, it's
uh,
like a baby
yeah,
Mr. Magoo.
it's a baby Mr. Magoo, and it's a terrible movie.
It's Mr. Magoo Gaga.
Oh no, no, no! There's no way I'm keeping that.
Yeah, come on. It's really
All
good.
right. So yeah, no, that was a bomb. That took us down a huge John Hughes legacy. Just crap the bed here at the end.
Come on. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's crazy.
So
But John Hughes, like, if you look at his filmography, this doesn't have to be in the cut, but he's not, dude. I guess I've heard that he was a kind of a recluse,
Mhm.
and a lot of his films just have really sensitive um, subject matter, and it's really kind of handled poorly.
I agree with that.
Like a lot of weird objectification of women. That is just,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's fine to have in a movie so long as like the way he presents it is really like, it's kind of blasé. Like it's just, he doesn't make a point to kind of, uh, show you how horrible it is. A lot of the characters, they do these horrible things and it's just like laughed off. And
Yeah.
yeah,
They play horrible things for jokes. That's
yeah.
true. I mean, 16 Candles, I think, is the one you're thinking of, right? Or
And the
Weird
Breakfast Club.
Science and Breakfast Club.
Yeah,
Well,
there's a. I mean,
I don't
his three
remember it.
biggest those
Yeah.
in Breakfast Club. There's I can't remember exactly what it has to do with. Um, I think it just gets kind of rapey if I remember right, and the way it's handled is just it's kind of like no biggie. Um,
I don't remember
I
that at all.
I rewatched it. I was told by a buddy because I always remembered John Hughes films very fondly, which I think a lot of us
Yeah.
did. And I had a buddy
hmm
who was like, "You need to go rewatch those because they're terrible." And I was like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I did, and I was
Well,
like, "Wow."
I never cared for 16 Candles. I liked The Breakfast Club. Weird Science was fun, but obviously the objectification of women. And like, I think that's the whole point of the film. Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Ferris Bueller is a terrible person.
I've
That's been
always liked
made
Ferris
clear.
Bueller's Day Off. Yeah,
Yeah, he's a bad boyfriend.
eh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. And Uncle Buck, I remember liking that quite a bit, but I'm sure it's awful.
I can't um, remember the last time I watched Uncle Buck. It was a long time ago. I
Oh yeah,
I
it
know that
had to be.
recently, the most recent ones I saw were The Breakfast Club and 16 Candles. And 16 Candles, that's got some really atrocious stuff. And I'm not
Yeah,
like,
I'm not even touching that one.
yeah, I'm not even like super sensitive, but it's
mm,
you just when you recognize it's like, wow, this is like played straight. A lot of the stuff they do in it, um,
yeah.
it's pretty rough. But it's
Well,
weird
I
that he
mean,
would go from that to Baby's Day Out.
so
That's
I'm looking up him right now, and it looks like from 87 to 2008 are what they consider his beyond teen movies years.
Okay.
But I don't agree with that because he made like Home Alone 2.
Oh, that was John. What was it?
Well, he wrote
Okay,
Home
he wrote
Alone.
it. He wrote it. Okay,
Yeah.
because that's Chris Columbus, if I remember, at least the first
I
one.
I believe you're right on that. But he wrote that. He wrote quite a few movies. Like he did Pretty in Pink,
Uh huh.
Great Outdoors, Home Alone, Mr. Mom. I liked Mr. Mom. I wonder if it's as good as I remember it being when I was a child
Best
watching it.
best not to go back to it. That's what I've learned.
Did you go back to it?
No, I just mean I went back to his other stuff.
Oh
It's not
yeah.
good.
It's like the Lady Hawk thing.
I
Like
like Lady Hawk.
I do too. I'm a huge fan of Lady Hawk.
Uh,
I am not going to revisit it. I'm going to
so
let it live in my
so
head as a good movie.
the worst thing about Lady Hawk, because I'm gonna stick by this. The sword fight at the end kicks
Mhm.
ass. There
Mhm.
are very few like medieval sword fights that stand out as being super cool. Like try and think of
Yeah,
one. There's very few. Lady
I
Hawk is
can't.
really the only one I can think of where you can isolate a sword fight. It's like, oh,
Hmm.
that's a cool sword fight. But the sword fight in the church in Lady Hawk is really cool. The
Yeah.
worst,
Uh,
the worst offense Lady Hawk, uh, um, the worst thing it does is the soundtrack. It's terrible. It ruins the entire tone of the film.
who does that? Is that Hart?
It
No,
doesn't
that's
sound
that's
like Heart
Legend.
at all. No,
Uh,
Legend is
no,
Tangerine
Starship.
Dream.
What? No, it isn't.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Right.
I believe so.
I think it's Starship.
It's not. It's not Starship.
I think it
In
is.
Legend,
Mhm.
it's not.
I don't. We'll find out.
So was Legend? Legend was made prior to Blade Runner, right? The reason I
Uh,
ask is when
mhm.
when Deckard is having flashbacks to the dreams.
Mhm.
There's that unicorn, and that feels like it was uh, be real from Legend.
Uh, you're right. It was Tangerine Dream with songs and lyrics
I
sung by
told you.
John Anderson of Yes, and vocals were added after that by Tangerine Dream. I am not a big as Legend head as you are. Okay, so 1985, and we've got wait, uh, 1982.
It just
So nope.
feels like be real. Okay, that's crazy. So I wonder if he used footage from Blade Runner in Legend.
What, Ridley Scott?
Because yeah, yeah, he made them both.
What? Let's see what Ridley Scott's up to these days. Joaquin Phoenix plays Napoleon. It's called
Yeah,
Napoleon, and it wasn't really hard to look up.
yeah, yeah.
I like
That
Napoleon.
looks cool. Dude,
Yeah.
I like Joaquin Phoenix. I think he's a great pick for that role.
Okay. And Joaquin Phoenix was in Gladiator. I wonder if they tie the two together.
I wonder if they use footage from Gladiator in Napoleon.
Like when he's having these dreams.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be so awesome.
so so I'm gonna go out and say that as far as planes, trains, and automobiles go, I like it. I would definitely recommend that film
Yeah,
to anybody during November. Any other time, no, you could skip it. You can only watch it seasonally.
yeah. It doesn't feel like it feels like one of those movies that you'd only watch during the holidays.
Yeah,
It,
like
yeah.
I'm not gonna sit down and watch It's a Wonderful Life in June.
No, I don't think I'll ever watch It's a Wonderful Life again. But I
Well,
agree.
you're missing out. That's a fantastic movie. I quote it constantly.
Yeah.
I come down the stairs in my house and I go, why do we have to have all these kids? Why do we have to live in this big old drafty house?
I was hoping you would have a Jimmy Stewart impression lined up.
Oh, I don't. I cannot do a Jimmy Stewart
He's
at all.
difficult.
He is. He is. Yeah. But
Okay, goodbye.